Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this video, we are going to explain the muscles of the forearm, which is also called antebrachium or lower arm. The muscles of the forearm are mainly divided into two categories. The one is the anterior muscles, and the other are the posterior muscles. We have 8 muscles in the anterior compartment. These are mainly the flexor muscles, except the pronator teres muscle and the pronator quadratus muscle. So we have the superficial flexor muscles, which are the pronator teres muscle, flexor carpi radialis muscle, palmaris longus muscle, flexor carpi ulnaris muscle, flexor digitorum superficialis muscle, which is the only intermediate muscle. And in the deep compartment we have flexor pallicus longus, flexor digitorum profundus, and pronator quadratus muscles. Now we would discuss the origin and attachment of each muscle and their innervation. So in this diagram you can see this is the distal end of the humerus. This is the ulna, and laterally this is the radius. This is the medial side and this is the lateral side. Here the origin side of the muscles are colored in the red, and in the blue these are the attachment side of the muscles. Most of the flexor muscles originate from the medial epicondyle. This is the medial epicondyle of the humerus. 5 of the anterior muscles originate from the medial epicondyle, which are the pronator teres muscle, flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, flexor carpi ulnaris, and flexor digitorum superficialis muscle. These 5 muscles originate from the medial epicondyle, while the remaining 3 muscles, which are the pronator quadratus muscle, the flexor digitorum profundus, and the flexor pallicus longus, these originate from the ulna and the radius. First of all, if we talk about the pronator teres muscle, so pronator teres muscle, as the name indicates, it helps in pronation of the forearm. Pronation and supination. From pronation we mean turning around of the radius over the ulna. This is the supinated position, and this is the pronated position. So the muscle responsible for the pronation of the arm, these are 2 muscles which are called the pronator muscles. The first one is the pronator teres muscle. The pronator teres muscle has 2 heads. The one is superficial head, which is attached to a medial epicondyle, and the other is the deep head, which is attached to the medial side of ulna. If we draw the muscle, so it moves from here, it is attached, and then it moves to the lateral side and is attached on the lateral side of the radius. This is the attachment site for pronator teres muscle. And the other head, this is the deep head, which is attached to the medial side of the coronary process. So this is the deep head, and both of these insert onto the lateral side of the radius. So you can see this is the pronator teres muscle. Pronator teres. At the end, we would talk about the innervation of each of these muscles. This was the pronator teres muscle. The next one is the flexor carpi radialis. It is a flexor muscle. It is attached to the base of the metacarpal on the radial sides. This is it originates from the medial epicondyle, and it is attached to the second and third, the base of second and third metacarpal. So this is attachment side for the flexor carpi radialis muscle. So it goes from here and attached here. This is the flexor carpi radialis. Next one is the palmaris longus muscle. The palmaris longus also originates from here and it comes to the palm. And it is only muscle that is not attached to the bone. Rather, it is attached to the palmar epineurosis. Here we have the palmar epineurosis. So the palmaris longus originate from the middle epicondyle and attach to the palmar epineurosis. This muscle, the palmaris longus muscle, is absent in 14% of the population. In 14% of the population, the palmaris longus muscle is absent. Here you can see this is the palmaris longus in this arm. Here this is the palmaris longus. In the people who don't have the palmaris longus, there appear only a single tendon. Here these are two tendons, so the one is the palmaris longus tendon. The next one is the flexor carpi ulnaris. Here flexor carpi ulnaris means it is a flexor muscle. It is attached to a metacarpal bones on the ulnar side. So you can see here, this is the ulna and the fifth. This is the little finger or the fifth digit and the base of the fifth metacarpal. Here is the extensor carpi ulnaris muscle attached and originate from the medial epicondyle. So this is our carpi ulnaris. Next is the flexor digitorum superficialis. Flexor digitorum superficialis originate from the medial epicondyle. This area is also called the common flexor origin because flexor muscles mainly originate from here, and it comes and attach to the base of the middle phalanx, second, third, fourth and fifth. It attached to the base of the middle phalanx. So here you can see this is a proximal phalangeal joint, this is a distal phalangeal joint. So it only extends up to here and does not reach the distal phalanx. So it can only flex the proximal joint. If you hold the three fingers and then you flex the little finger, so the only joint which would flex would be the proximal interphalangeal joint. So only this joint would bend. So if you draw this, it will come like this here and then divide to the second metacarp, second, third, fourth and fifth finger. This is the flexor digitorum superficialis. So these were the 5 muscles that originated from the medial epicondyle. Now there is on the 3/4 of the ulnar shaft. Here originate the flexor digitorum profundus muscle. You can see this is the 3/4. If you divide it in 4 parts, one part, second, third, fourth. We divide it in 4 parts, 1, 2, 3, 4. From the 3/4, here it originates the flexor digitorum profundus, and the 1/4 they originated the pronator quadratus muscle. The flexor digitorum profundus originates from here and it moves and is attached to the distal phalanx of the second, third, fourth, and fifth finger. It attaches to a distal phalanx, the base of distal phalanx, and it is responsible for the flexion of the distal phalanx, the distal phalangeal joint. So if we flex this joint, this is due to the flexor digitorum profundus, and in this case, this flexion is due to the flexor digitorum profundus. Flexor digitorum profundus. If you look carefully at the attachment sites of the flexor digitorum superficialis, these were the flexor digitorum superficialis muscle attachment site, and these are the site of attachment of flexor digitorum profundus muscle. So if we carefully look here, you would see on each phalanx, on each finger, there are two sides, 1, 2, 1, 2. Similarly, in this case, there are two sides for the attachment of flexor digitorum superficialis. This is because the flexor digitorum superficialis muscle tendon, which come here, divides into two, 1, 2. Similarly, in this case, it divides into 2 and attaches on each side. And in between these two tendons, there comes the tendon of the flexor digitorum profundus muscle, which come here below the flexor digitorum superficialis and then come out in between the two tendons of flexor digitorum superficialis muscle on each finger. So the tendon of the flexor digitorum profundus muscle come here in the mid. Next is the flexor phalanx longus muscle, which originate from the interosseous membrane and the radius. You can see in this diagram, it originates from here, and it is from the name you can see flexor phalanx longus. It flexes phalanx longus. Phalanx is the term used for the thumb. It means it is the word used for the term used for the thumb. So it flexes the thumb. This is the first metacarpal or the thumb. So it comes and is attached to the distal end of the distal phalanx of the thumb. Flexor phalanx longus muscle. It comes and attached to the thumb and flexes the thumb joint. So these were the muscles of the anterior compartment of the forearm, or these were the flexor muscles. The last one is the pronator quadratus muscle, which originates on the medial side of the ulna and is attached to the anterior side of the radius. As it is, this is the origin, this is attachment of the pronator quadratus muscle. It is rectangular in shape, that's why it is called quadratus. So this is the pronator quadratus muscle. Pronator quadratus. Now if we talk about the nerve innervation, so all the muscles except the flexor carpi ulnaris muscle, which was attached here and originated from the medial epicondyle, except the flexor carpi ulnaris muscle and the medial half of the flexor digitorum profundus muscle, the flexor digitorum profundus. This is the flexor digitorum profundus muscle. Half of the flexor digitorum profundus muscle and flexor carpi ulnaris muscles. These two are innervated by the ulnar nerve. and the rest of the muscles. The latter half of the flexor digitorum profundus muscle and the remaining 6 muscles are innervated by the medial nerve. You can see here the remaining muscles. Here is the brachioradialis. This is the attachment site for brachioradialis muscle, which originate from the lateral epicondylar ridge. It is originated from lateral epicondylar ridge and attaches here to the head of the radius, on the head of the radius. And this muscle has nothing to do with the forearm. It only flexes the elbow joint. Elbow flexion. It causes the elbow flexion. And here you see on the radial tuberosity or the bicipital tuberosity on the radius, there is attached the biceps muscle. The biceps muscle is attached here. This is the attachment site for the biceps. In the next video, we will talk about the muscles of the posterior compartment or the extensor muscles of the forearm. Hope the video was helpful. Thank you for watching. Allah Hafiz.